We have some good family up in Massachusetts, and they're all hilarious. We always bust each other's, and that's what family's all about. It's a magical time of year. Family's so important. It's Christmas time. The Bidens lit the Christmas tree last night. It's a tradition. Before they lit the Christmas tree, though, the crowd had to be told, liven up a bit and applause.
All right, everyone, we are 30 seconds away. Stand by.
I mean, the crowd is dead.
Stand by, applause.
Big entrance.
And applause, applause, applause.
Happy holidays. For over 100 years,
So please applause. Please clap. Please clap. When they got to the actual Christmas lighting, Joe Biden was introduced. He rolled up on the stage and he didn't say anything. He didn't say welcome to the Christmas tree lighting. He didn't say I'm so happy you guys joined us. He didn't he didn't do any intros. He just runs into the Christmas tree lighting and he says this.
5.
What?
4, 3, 2, 1.
He just runs in and just immediately starts counting down. You missed a step, sir. You missed a step. He did finally get to his. He did finally get to his introductions.
Bill and I are honored to welcome you to the National Christmas Tree Lighting. Thanks to Interior Secretary Deb Haaland and the National Park Service Foundation.
There was no major gaffes in his big announcement, and part of that is because it looked like he had a 70-inch teleprompter in front of him. It was the biggest teleprompter I have ever seen. So that was what the Bidens were doing last night. They still haven't hung the stockings by the chimney with care, as far as I know. They do it every year at the White House. They would hang 6 stockings for their grandkids. This year, as we all know, they've acknowledged the latest Hunter Biden grandkid. So they have 7, and no stockings hung by the chimney with care for the Bidens. So what a great family. It is Agenda Free Friday. Whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about. Let's go to Mike in Spring Hill. He has a comment on the debate. There was a debate last night. What happened, Mike?
Hey, thanks, Chris. Yeah, the so-called great debate was supposed to be state against state, and it ended up being Florida against the Democratic talking points. And after a half hour, I turned it off. Sean Hannity was weak. I mean, he would ask Gavin Newsom a question, and Newsom would, all right, he would go through the Democratic talking points. Mm-hmm. Then he said, well, I'll answer your question later. And he never did. And Hannity was just so weak, and it was a farce.
No, and
I really felt bad for DeSantis.
I don't know about. I wouldn't go that far, but I will say this: as far as Hannity, as far as Hannity being weak, though, I mean, we all know why Hannity's weak. He works for Fox News.
Yeah,
because we're Fox News and we suck.
He was disgusting, and like I say, after a half hour, I turned it off. Like, you are a joke.
I mean, I watched it, and you know what? As if we're watching as conservatives, we can all say DeSantis won, right? I'll tell you what, though. Yeah. If I'm a Democrat, I'm watching it last night, and Gavin Newsom is slick. He doesn't stumble.
Oh, very slick.
He doesn't stumble. When he's getting taken to town, he doesn't have an awkward look on his face. He takes it all in. He's smooth. He's very calculated in his answers. And while he was leaning on Democrat talking points, he didn't sound as pre-packaged and pre-planned as DeSantis' talking points. Like, even when DeSantis called him out for his father-in-law moving to Florida, it sounded so pre-planned and inorganic. It was a great line. It was absolutely true. And I thought, great line. But it just always feels so forced with DeSantis. Do you feel like that?
Yeah. Yeah, Newsom is slick. It's scary. He's so slick.
No, it's like white Obama,
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. And the media will not challenge him or challenge his facts. So, and that's what Hannity never challenged him when he said stuff, and that was the upsetting part.
Well, and for the vote blue no matter who crowd, they're not going to be like doing their own research. They're not going to be digging in on these candidates. But the vote blue no matter who crowd can't ignore the damage Joe Biden has done. So I think that they will still have a hard time voting for Joe Biden. But a guy like Gavin Newsom, I feel like they're pretty they would be fine with him. He's just smooth enough.
Definitely.
And he leans in on the talking points. And, like one of the things he did, Gavin Newsom did, was he went after DeSantis for the Parkland shooting and not having any real gun safety regulation after that. And now while you and I will look at that and say there was no need for any regulation after that, it's a garbage argument. The vote blue no matter who crowd will look at that and be like, dude, you nailed him. Great job. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
And
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
As far as guns, and you can tell me if I'm crazy or not, but, sadly, when someone is killed by a drunk driver, they go after the driver. They don't go after the car. And with me, when someone shoots someone, they don't go after the person, they go after the gun. And it's just, come on, go after the person that pulled the trigger, not the gun.
Absolutely. I mean, you can look at what happened in Ireland before Thanksgiving, where 3 kids are stabbed, by a Algerian Muslim immigrant. Listen, if people are going to do bad things, they'll find a way to do it. You know what I mean? The instrument or the tool doesn't really matter.
Right. I mean, you have mothers against drunk drivers, but you don't have mothers against people that pull the trigger. It's against guns. Come on.
Yeah, and to your point, they never blame the car, except when it's a gentleman driving through a Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Good point.
That's when they blame the car. You know what I mean?
That was a good one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Blame the car.
Yeah. Oh, an SUV drove through a crowd. Weird.
Them darn SUVs, I'm driving one, so I must be a terrible person. Look out.
Hey, you must be. And it's a gas guzzler. How could you? Ban assault SUVs.
I know.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, one more thing, if I could.
Yeah.
I have a friend driving an electric car down to Florida, and he goes, it's going to take me 10 to 12 hours, where it's a normal 8-hour drive. But with the electric car, he has to stop and get charged a couple of times. Like, good luck.
Yeah, good luck. And it's cold out, so it's going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Hey, man, appreciate you listening, Mike. Thanks so much. Stan in Nashville wants to know if I'm lying. What does he want to know if I'm lying? What am I lying about? Stan, what's going on, man?
Hey, I'm gonna open up a pretty hot debate probably, but what you was talking about when you first come on the air about Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to think about this. I told my kids the truth about it. That way, when they grow up, they can honestly say I've never lied to them their whole lives about anything. Now, is telling your kids that there's somebody that breaks in your house once a year, Santa Claus or Tooth Fairy, is that lying to your children, or what do you think about that? I've heard both sides of this debate for years. So what do you think?
I don't know. So one of my kids might be listening. Full disclosure, so I'll be as vague as I can be. My oldest, we had the talk, and she called us out. Oh, did you lie to me? And I said, you know what? I thought that one lie was worth all the joy, and I thought that one lie was worth the magic and the memories.
All right, that makes sense.
And
That's a hot debate right there, though.
Yeah, no, I get where you're at, man. And also, I don't fault any parents who don't do the Santa thing because they want to keep the spirit of the season on Jesus. I think that is also totally, high standard quality parenting, and I don't knock people for not doing it.
I get it. I see both sides of it, sort of.
Yeah, no, I do too, man. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. We are 18 minutes into the show, and I've already been accused of lying. So I love Agenda Free Friday. Bobby in Nashville has a comment on Zelensky. Is it about the same green shirt that he's always wearing, Bobby? Bobby, you went to Lindsay. We want to go to Bobby.
No,
Bobby, what's up, man?
No, sir. It's not about his green shirt. Hey, by the way, you guys have been doing a fabulous job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, man.
But here's Zelensky, man. We're sending billions of dollars over there to him in military aid. I mean, it's not like where Trump was. Hey, we sending military over there aid, so we want your wheat. We're sending you over to the Middle East. We want some oil. But here's the deal with Zelensky. Nobody's pointed this out. He's got billions of dollars in military aid. How is he riding around in this big, expensive yacht? Have you guys checked on that? I mean, is that something Biden gave him or what?
I saw that he's hiding yachts. I honestly didn't dig too much into it. I read the headline. I went, oh, that checks out. But yeah, there have been stories about him having a yacht, basically low key, right? I'm going to try and find the headline.
This is not your average yacht. I mean, this thing is. There's no telling how many millions of dollars this thing is worth.
Is there such thing as an average yacht?
No, I don't think so, my friend.
I've never been on a yacht, so I don't know if there's a difference between an average yacht and an above average yacht.
This is kind of like one of those Russian ships, man. I mean, it's really something. It's just a house on wheels, basically. I mean, a house on the ocean is what it is.
All right.
But I just wanted to throw that out there to you guys, and maybe you can check it out. Thanks, brother.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I'll dig into it, and we'll try and address that story at some point. I did see the headline, so yeah, I don't know. Lindsay in Pleasant Shade, we'll go to you next, and we'll take the rest of your calls after the break. It's an agenda-free Friday on the Chris Hand Show, so anything you want to talk about is on the table. Anything. We've already addressed Santa Claus. Santa. We've addressed Zelensky, his green shirt and hidden yachts. What else do we address?
What was it? Oh yeah, there was this weird debate last night. I don't know if you knew about that.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, hey, yeah.
Only 20 minutes in. Exactly.
That's how I feel about the debate. It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Breaking news about the first woman U.S. Supreme Court justice. Breaking news about a former president's vulnerability to civil lawsuits tied to January 6th. Plans to impose a travel ban on Israelis. And data researchers claim shows the impact which abortion bans are having on birth rates in Tennessee and other states. These stories and more at 9:30 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's an agenda-free Friday on the Chris Hand Show. Anything you want to talk about, we can talk about. Lindsay in Pleasant Shade, she has a Christmas prank. Lindsay, what's up? Hey, Lindsay.
Well, yeah, I liked your... Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay. I liked your Christmas prank story.
Oh, perfect.
With the empty boxes going out the window.
Oh, well, that wasn't my... I don't want to take full credit for that. That was a first-time texter, 8747, who sent that in. But
well, I
good.
loved it, and I have to tell you what I did to my brother one Christmas. But first, I'm going to prank you, hopefully, on the 7th.
All right, hit it.
You're bringing a Christmas tree to the party, right?
Yes, ma'am, I am. It's a Christmas party. We have to.
If you have seen the movie The Christmas Story, you get an awesome ornament for your tree. If you have not, you get a pacifier.
Okay, good to know.
That's your prank. But, okay, my poor brother, he done me wrong one Christmas, and my mom had this rare treat. She would spread, like, chocolate icing on graham crackers.
Okay.
So he was coming home from school one day, and I got home a little sooner from school than he did, him being older. And I went out in the back and dug in the garden and got this whole nice clay mud mixture thing going. And I spread it all over these graham crackers and brought him out a plate as soon as he walked in the door and said, "Look what Mom made."
Oh, my gosh.
He took him a couple big old bites and, about died.
Oh, my gosh.
I showed him.
You got to save that kind of stuff for April, Lindsay. That's not the that's not the season.
It was Christmas.
All right, I appreciate the call. And don't forget, we do have our official Super Talk Live Christmas party. I think, am I the only one calling it a Christmas party?
Yes. Does that make it not a Christmas party? No. It's still a Christmas party.
It makes it more of a Christmas party because we're going to be spreading Christmas cheer. And it's going to be happening Thursday, December 7th, 4 to 8 at Scoreboard at Cedar Creek Marina. We were going to be talking about the year ahead, the year behind us, and Christmas cheer.
But, Chris, how much does it cost? Where do I get my ticket?
Okay. Our gift to you, because it's a Christmas party, it's free.
What?
It's free.
Super dope.
It is super dope. And thank you to Dan Mandis and management for making that happen for us. We want to see you there for our Super Talk Live Christmas party. Again, Thursday, December 7th, 4 to 8, Scoreboard at Cedar Creek Marina. Also, it's an agenda-free Friday. Ron in Manchester has a comment on Phil Williams. And Ron, we're going to get to your call next, right after Ken Weaver's newscast on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
"9:30 on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now, breaking news. Reports rolling in that retired U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor has passed away at the age of 93. She was the first woman to serve on the nation's highest court. Breaking news regarding former President Trump and the January 6, 2021 U.S. Capitol riot. A federal appeals court has ruled that Trump is not immune from civil lawsuits. And right now in our nation's capital, reports say House Speaker Mike Johnson will vote not to expel New York Congressman George Santos. And right now in the Israel-Hamas war, reports say the Biden administration's moving to impose a travel ban on Israeli settlers they say are engaged in violence against Palestinians in the West Bank. And in Tennessee, researchers claim data shows more babies were born after the abortion ban than would have been the case before it in Tennessee, a 3.3% increase. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. Have you ever thought about why we invest in the stock market? Well, you often hear because we want to protect ourselves from inflation. Well, what is inflation? It's prices going up. Who's raising prices? Companies. What do you own when you own stocks? You own the companies raising prices, so it helps protect us from that. The other thing is this. Think about the most successful people you know. They're typically business owners. and you get to be a business owner when you invest in the stock market. Now, if we think about the stock market, a lot of people worry about, well, what if the stock market drops and it never comes back? Well, this is another thing that I like to explain to people. If the stock market goes down and it never comes back, what does that mean? That means that earnings went down and they never came back up again. So earnings went down. If earnings go down, what else goes down? Taxes go down. If taxes go away, what else goes away? The government goes away. If the government goes away, the FDIC goes away. So think about it. Everything is built on the stock market. That's why I don't ever worry about the stock market going down. Everybody has the same goal in mind when stocks go down. Get it to come back up, because we got to get earnings to come back up. Now, you have two things at your control to get earnings to come back up. One is sales. We can change what we're selling or sell more of whatever we have if we can. And if we can't do that, we can reduce our expenses. And that's exactly what companies do. You'll notice that they lay off people when things get bad, and hence that is why the stock market has recovered from every downturn throughout all of history. Now, if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or call 615-851-1950.
Of course, yep.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm just one. Would invite any listener to call in and tell me the very first time Phil Williams has gone after a Democrat. To me, he just bought and sold by the liberal agenda, just like all the people that he goes after. If somebody calls in and can tell me the last time he went after a Democrat, I'll withdraw my complaint. But I appreciate it, and I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Spent much time with Phil Williams. To me, I think that he just does what a lot of people do. He's liberal media. I don't know. I don't have many strong opinions on him. Like I know he doesn't go after blue, but whatever. I don't know. Like that's what they do. It doesn't shock me. I'm not mad about it. Local news is pretty liberal. It's a shocker. That's pretty much everywhere. So I don't know.
Surprise! Surprise! Surprise!
Yeah, I'm shocked. Every time somebody's like, Phil Williams went after a Republican. He went after the conservatives. I'm like, oh,
yeah, wow,
weird. Checks out. All right. I don't know. Whatever. I just don't watch. So I feel like that's the easiest way to deal with Phil Williams. I just I don't turn it on actually. So I suggest if Phil Williams gets you upset that you do the same. Just don't watch. Plus, he's getting up there. He's going to retire soon anyway, right?
Yeah, I wonder how
old is Phil Williams? Let's see. It's not an ageist thing. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I've got to find the right Phil Williams because now I'm looking at the Alabama State Senator.
Oh, my gosh. How many Phil Williams are there? What a... the difference between me and Phil Williams is there aren't many Chris Hands. There's a million Phil Williams. I don't know. We don't do ageist stuff on this show. As you know, Mac is 19. So.
Ridiculous.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry. Keep looking up the age. Stop hitting hotkeys, Mac. I need you.
I've got 60.
60? I mean, so in this current economy, he's probably got 25 years left.
At least if he wants to retire in peace under this current president, Phil Williams has got to work another 25, 30 years easy. It looks like that's what I got. Yeah, I mean, if he wants to no, see, this is they keep coming up state senator. I can't find his age. Sorry. You can't find his age? Sorry, just state senator. So that's not even the real Phil. Well, the real Phil Williams, please stand up. Does anybody know how old Phil Williams is? Asking for a friend. 1228 said, I'm 45, and Phil Williams has been old since I was in middle school. Okay, so we're going older than 60. That's fair. I was a little shocked by that, too. All right. 8968 said, I went to school with your Williams. He's not my Williams. Yeah, your Williams, Chris. We know. Maybe that was a talk to text flub. He said he was a couple years behind me. He's probably 62. Wow. Okay. 4931 said, I'm 34, and Phil Williams had white hair since I was a kid. 0272 says 69. 69. I don't know if that's... Is that a joke? Is it? Yeah, come on. Let's send a fun number. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know, 272. Seems sus. Seems pretty sus. All right, let's go to... It's an agenda-free Friday. Anything you want to talk about, we can talk about. Dustin in Winchester wants to talk homeschooling. What's up, Dustin?
Hey, sir. How are you?
Good, man. What's going on?
Pretty good. So, this is kind of my take on homeschool and all the parents that are kind of apprehensive with taking their kids out of the public school system and homeschooling them or private schooling them. So, I'm a veteran.
Thanks for your service.
Thanks, sir. 10 years after that, I spent in law enforcement after I got out of the military. So I like to believe in our systems we got here in America and believe that they're going to work. But our school system's failing, and I got a third grader and an eighth grader. My third grader, whenever we took her out at the beginning of this school year, we took them out and we brought them home, and we do a private homeschool. It's through an accredited program.
Good for you, man.
They can go to college.
Yeah.
And my third grader was nowhere near proficient when it comes to reading. None whatsoever. I mean, it was horrendous.
What school district did you say they were in before you took them out for homeschooling?
Franklin County.
Franklin County. Okay, keep going.
And so one of the biggest reasons why we started looking at the education was because, you know, their grades were failing. We were waking up every day and we were wondering, are our kids going to fail this year? And it seemed like the school system didn't care. We had IEP programs where they was getting funded, and went half a year. My daughter didn't even know she had an IEP teacher in her class, and she was failing math, and they didn't care.
Jeez.
So we pulled them out, and I'm going to tell you, we've been in school for we started in July.
Okay.
And my eighth grader, she is ace in math right now. We've done moved on up to higher levels than where they're at in the grade level that she's in right now in regular public school. And as far as the reading, it's light years beyond where we started at. It's just amazing. There's so much better programs out there without them trying to feed our kids false narratives inside of school.
But Dustin, are you gonna lean in on the 1619 project for your homeschooling?
Are you talking about the Governor Lee program?
No, I'm talking about critical race theory, sir. You gonna do that at home?
Oh no.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not. It was a joke. Hey, I appreciate the call, and good on you, man, for homeschooling your kids. That is no easy task. And we've talked to me and my wife have talked about possibly homeschooling before. I listen. I know it's hard, dude, and God bless you for doing that. So it's difficult. It's difficult. A lot of sacrifice in homeschooling. A lot of sacrifice in private school too. I mean, shoot, I work two jobs to put my kids in private school, and we still cut corners. I work here. I work with Turning Point USA, and two jobs. You have to sacrifice if you want to, do the right thing for your kids, and that's across the board. I mean, we can go down the list. If you really truly love your kids, there's going to be sacrifice involved at some point in time. Whether or not that's school. You might like your public school. That's cool too. Let's go to Guy in Franklin, who has a comment on the Nashville Fire Department. Is that what it is? What's up, Guy?
Hey, Chris, the handyman. How are you this morning, sir?
What's up, brother? Thanks for calling.
And I'm good. Nashville Fire Department. So my dad's nickname for the fire department was Luigi, and he was with East Nashville over on Cahalan Engine 18 for 20-some-odd years. He was total 28 with the fire department. My mom just passed away on November 8th.
Oh, sorry to hear that, dude.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple months. My parents actually invented Luigi's in Madison back in the early 90s. So the Luigi that you have now, my parents actually invented that brand.
Oh, cool.
And created a pizza recipe for it. And so my dad was involved in an accident, work-related accident in 2012 where he died in a house fire.
Man, that's
tough.
tough.
The resulting cause of that was because they only had 3 men on the truck. And still to this day, even after almost 11 years later, coming up this month, against OSHA regulations, Metro Nashville Fire Department still runs 3 men on a truck. And if I can just raise enough noise to save one firefighter's family from the trauma. My mom was my dad's caregiver for the past 10 years, and now she's gone. And today I met my dad to a locked memory care unit facility in Franklin to take care of him because I'm not able to do it with 3 kids and my wife. Sacrifices that we have to make. I don't want another firefighter's family in this city to have to endure what my family has had to endure for the past 10 years. So,
hey,
if
man,
there's anything that we can do, just make some noise.
I appreciate the call, and this I've not heard of this before. And I feel kind of dumb not knowing about it. So I appreciate you bringing it up to me. My grandfather was a firefighter in Massachusetts, and I lived in Detroit. And if you know anything about firefighters, you know about Detroit. So I think that the firefighter community is totally underserved, totally underappreciated. They're usually the first guys on the scene. They're incredibly brave, and I definitely think that they deserve a little bit more than what you're saying they're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's purely budgetary issues why they cannot facilitate 4 men on a truck. Like, just staff the fire department. Just staff every engine with 4 men on a truck. There should be 2 men out on the engine, 1 engineer and a captain, and then 2 guys in the fire, working the fire.
Yeah.
And they didn't have that. They just didn't. And by the time that there was help, it was too late. And, I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you for taking my call.
Hey, man. I appreciate you calling in. And Guy, thank you for the call and telling us about that. And that's one of the reasons why we do Agenda Free Friday. That's not a topic that would have come up if we didn't have the listeners that we have. And I appreciate you guys always contributing to the conversation and bringing issues that are important to you up. That's literally why we do this on Fridays. We also have fun. We also joke around, but we do that all week. But, thank you to Guy. And I'll look into that. 3 guys on a truck? That seems criminally unsafe. So that's terrible. Let's go to my favorite Hebrew, Dave. He's next. We've actually decided, Dave, that we're going to start calling you our Hebrew.
Well, what's up? I dig it. I'm with it.
Perfect.
I'm with it.
Perfect.
I wanted to, before I got to the meat of the matter, I wanted to take a shot at Mac and say that I hope my Steelers meet your Chiefs soon, because I have the utmost confidence in my defense. And now that we got rid of Matt Canada, I have a little bit more confidence in the offense.
Please meet my team in the playoffs. I love that.
Can I just say one thing? Can I say one thing, fellas? I'm not here to defend Mac, but I'll be damned if I let a Steelers fan besmirch him.
Bingo.
Hey, get back to me when your team has 6 Super Bowls.
Okay, here we go.
All right. My team does.
Yeah, I was about to say, Chris can get back to you.
Yeah. Tom Brady.
Okay, well,
give me another decade. I'll be there with you soon.
Dead gum Pats fan.
You won't be back there, Mac, if Travis Kelce keeps getting boosters. I don't know. All right, Dave. What did you actually want to talk about besides bashing Mac and his terrible football team?
Well, So we have a travel ban proposed on Israeli settlers.
Yeah.
But I want to know where the travel ban is for all the bigwigs in Hamas who come over here and raise money and live like kings. No one's proposing that we kick the Hamasniks out of the States. Mm-hmm. No one's proposing that we kick the people that raise money for the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. No one's proposing we kick them out. But we're going to put a travel ban on people who are moving into a part of that part of the world called Judea. I am so utterly disgusted and infuriated. I have to go to a wedding in January with the liberal Jewish DC side of the family, and I don't know how I'm going to keep my trap shut. I really don't.
That is going to be that will be very difficult. You're going to need to do a lot of praying before you get there, my friend.
You know, my cousin she's a true believer. She works on the Hill for some Democrats. She used to work for John Dingleberry of Michigan. He's since gone to his great reward. I don't know who she works for now, but she is what I like to call a gino. She is a Jew in name only. And look, I'm not going to sit here and hold myself up as the perfect Jew. I don't keep kosher. I don't keep the Sabbath. My dad was Reformed. But I do not understand how in the world you can call yourself a Jew and side with Hamas, or even to just not even go that far, but side with the Democrats who side with Hamas and Iran.
Yeah.
It's sickening. It's infuriating. I told my wife last night, I said, if I was 20 years younger and single, I'd pack up my guns and go volunteer.
I mean, Trump
sickening.
Trump said to Jewish people, you have to vote for me. You know what I mean? Look at what he was doing in the Middle East and the Abraham Accords. And I think a lot of the Jewish community is waking up now to, just how bad and how much the Democrat Party doesn't care.
And I sure hope so. You look at, when you look at Biden and the first thing that he did was literally take a torch to everything that Trump did, including the Abraham Accords. And, the conventional wisdom for so long was, well, in order for these countries to recognize Israel diplomatically, they got to give land back to the Palestinians. And Trump proved that wasn't true. And, oh, yeah, by the way, the Jordanians don't want them. The Egyptians don't want them. His Majesty over there in Jordan certainly doesn't want them. Why? Because he doesn't want his relatively modern country to turn into a terrorist state. The Egyptian military, who basically runs their government, we saw what they did with Morsi after the Arab Spring. They got rid of him real quick, and they don't want him over there.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
It's despicable. But one more thing, you guys, y'all's Christmas party actually happens to coincide with the first night of Hanukkah. But Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to everybody.
Well, hey, Dave, if you want to come, we can turn it into a joint Christmas Hanukkah party. I'll do that for you.
I'll bring my loaded dreidel.
Perfect. I love it. All right. Our favorite Hebrew, Dave. Thank you so much for calling in. It's 9:55 on the Chris Hand Show. Agenda-free Friday. Anything you want to talk about, we can talk about. 615-737-9986. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. And right now in our nation's capital, it is being reported that the House appears to be on the way to expelling New York Congressman George Santos. At least that is the way the vote is trending right now. We'll be keeping an eye on that for you. Right now in Wilson County, Tennessee, News 2 says deputies are on what they describe as a disturbing scene. A man found dead, a woman injured in a home on Poplar Hill Road during a welfare check. The woman was life-flighted to Vanderbilt, her condition unknown. Former U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor has died.
93 years old, and she had been in very, very fragile health for years. This is several times over the past several years. There had been concern about her health. She did suffer from Alzheimer's disease as well.
Terry Moran says the court announced her death in a statement this morning. She was 93 years old, the first female U.S. Supreme Court justice. Breaking news regarding former President Trump and the January 6, 2021 U.S. Capitol riot. A federal appeals court has ruled that the former president is not immune from civil lawsuits. And right now in our nation's capital, again, it looks like the vote is trending to expel Representative George Santos from the House of Representatives. And that vote is underway right now. We'll get you the results as soon as that vote is completely tallied. And the latest International Climate Summit, COP28, underway in Dubai. Here's our Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, addressing the gathering.
Today, the United States is pledging an additional $50 million on top of the $100 million that we announced in July.
Blinken claims global demand for food will increase by 50% by the year 2050, but supply will drop 30% due to what he claims is an escalating climate crisis. And I deliver as promised. It looks like the House has voted to expel New York Congressman George Santos. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
We really are passionate about our state. It's so beautiful, and we just want people and all Tennesseans to help us keep it that way. We really want to make sure that, our beauty, and from, west to east to even middle Tennessee, we want to make sure it's nice and clean for everyone to enjoy. I like to get people to volunteer and to get out there and keep our world clean, man. Litter's disgusting. No one likes it.
That's right. Yeah, if you ask my wife, I've always said, keep Tennessee beautiful. That's kind of been, I think I found a T-shirt or something a long time ago.
It's that marketing.
Yeah.
Really good job.
It's like,
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no sense in throwing your trash out the window or when you're hunting or fishing, leaving the trash there on the bank or whatever. It's not worth it.
Currently, there are 88 million pieces of litter on Tennessee roadways at any given time in this state.
Wow.
And TDOT currently spends $23 million on picking up the litter, educating about the litter.
The Nobody Trashes Tennessee campaign, there's some great videos out there. And I was watching the litter lessons and the show and get to know the Red Plastic Cup. Tell us a bit about the campaign and some of those characters. That's pretty neat.
So Red Plastic Cup, he thinks he's a movie star.
Uh-huh.
He thinks, he's just the greatest thing ever. So he started off with a talk show, and then he got a movie. And in our movie, he got, more characters, and we had experts, water quality expert was Sal, the smallmouth bass.
Yeah.
And his bodyguard is Trash Watch. And if, we can go into Trash Watch a little bit too, but love Trash Watch.
10:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand. Welcome into the Chris Hand Show. Thank you for being here. Don't forget, show starts at 9. And you can take us with you wherever you go. iHeartRadio app, TuneIn app, the 99.7 WTN app. All of them are in your app store. Just go download them. They're all free. We like free things here, so get that. And you can listen to us wherever you go. 997WTN.com for more. Also, it's an agenda-free Friday. What does that mean? That means you get to dictate where the conversation goes. So we can talk about anything you want to talk about. 615-737-9986. Todd's here.
Todd,
show starts at 9.
It's 10 o'clock, Todd.
Todd.
Not 9.
Come on, Todd.
Get it together, Todd.
But welcome, Todd. We welcome you.
Glad you're here.
Yeah, glad you're here, Todd. Todd's our favorite mailman.
Oh, easily. Looking through Todd's text. Yeah, easily. That's bar none. I see yesterday he texted in Mac for VP. See, Todd is smart, though. He doesn't know the show starts at 9, but he does have some good takes.
It's like Todd. It's like on the micro stuff, Todd kind of slips a little bit, but on the macro stuff, he knows.
Yeah.
Mac for VP. I would.
That's it.
It's too bad you're only 19. I don't think that you're old enough.
People are really going to start texting and asking how old I am now.
I think I'm just going to start rolling with that.
Yes, of course. He's been there for 2 years. He started when he was 17.
He is. We have been.
He's a prodigy.
We've been skirting labor laws for years. 99.7 WTN. But yeah, we can talk about anything you want to talk about. So, Todd, welcome. I had a text here from 0170. Said, "What are your thoughts on the seating arrangements for Melania at the funeral this week?" I don't have any. All right, next text.
All right, moving on.
No, I will say this. She was Melania is 5'11", right? She's wearing heels. Michelle Obama's head and shoulders above her. So, waiting for the mic text to roll.
Oh yeah, it'll be a plethora, I'm sure.
Yep. I mean, I think I said the same joke yesterday. I got like 100 texts. Did you mean Mike? Like, yep. Okay. Thanks, guys. I also got a text here. It said, all right, where was it? All right, one of my friends, 1572, he said, can you play that debate clip that you played on the Gang of Four? My wife didn't hear it. She didn't get to hear it this morning. Did you hear the clip that I played from the debate?
I didn't.
So from the Gavin Newsom, Ron DeSantis debate, I don't know. I didn't have many takeaways. I did find this clip, which I thought was fascinating. And I'll just play it for you and let me know what you think.
All right, welcome back to Debates That Nobody Really Gives a Shit About. I'm your host, Sean Hannity, and tonight we have the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, and Florida's Governor, Ron DeSantis. Let's begin. Question. Have you ever betrayed the greatest president to ever live, President Donald J. Trump?
No. What kind of question is that? What the hell?
Very simple question, but let's try the next one. Are you a short, insecure little man that likes to wear lifts inside your cowboy boots? Yes or no answer, please.
No. You know what? My wife bought me those lifts, and I happen to like them, okay?
He's even using a stepping stool. I can see it from over here.
Governor, we clearly said no step stools. You either get off of it or you're leaving the stage right now.
He did get off the stepping stool. It was tough to see him the rest of the night. But,
that was so good.
So, I don't know. I can do other debate clips if you want, like real ones. But that one was my favorite.
Was good. That wasn't real? That was great.
That was my favorite. That was posted on Instagram by Donald Trump. So just roasting him. I'm waiting for the text to come in that says, Ron's living rent-free in your head. He's living rent-free. So.
Oh, that was awesome.
So good. What else we got going on? Anything you want to talk about? It's an agenda-free Friday, 615-737-9986. 0344 says, let's talk again about Elon Musk and his message to advertisers. Oh, yes, Elon and his message to advertisers. So let me pull that up for you here. Elon did have a message to advertisers yesterday. He was at the DealBook Summit with the New York Times, and he had a message for advertisers, and it sounded like this.
There's a public perception that, and you're clarifying this now,
But there's a public perception that that was part of a apology tour, if you will. That this had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f*** yourself.
But
go f*** yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
Well, let me ask you then.
He said, "Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience." He was responding to Disney CEO Bob Iger, who had, pulled his ads from Twitter. So I thought that was pretty funny.
And Bob was indeed in the audience.
Bob was there. Do you think he slunk down in his seat or got a little sweaty,
side-eyeing? He's like, "Oh, don't look at me."
Yeah, weird. This is Bob Iger talking about pulling the ads from X and all that fun stuff. Because he was also speaking at the DealBook Summit. There's a bunch of I would say heavy hitters and high rollers, but I don't know. Kamala Harris really brought that bar down. So, yeah. Anyway, here's Bob Iger responding to Elon Musk and talking about pulling his ads from Twitter.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You stopped advertising on X.
We did.
Tell us about that decision.
I have a lot of respect for Elon and what he's accomplished, and not just one business, but a few businesses. And we know Elon is larger than life in many respects.
Sounds like he's going, "Don't roast me, bro."
And that his name is very much tied to the companies he either has founded or he owns, whether it's Tesla, or SpaceX, SpaceX, or now X. Mm-hmm. And by him taking the position that he took in quite a public manner, we just felt that the association with that position and Elon Musk and X was not necessarily a positive one for us, and we decided we would pull our advertising.
Oh, weird. I mean, it's not a positive association. Never mind the man with a mustache and a dress at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique at Disneyland. Never mind the fact that we still advertise on Instagram, though there's vast pedophile networks on Instagram. We couldn't possibly be associated with wrongthink. Thanks, Bob. I'm actually happy that Disney is flopping. And one of the things I saw in the debate last night was two grown men arguing about whose Disney World or Disneyland is better and who had them closed longer. It was kind of silly. But Disney keeps flopping. And to that, I say good. Their latest film flopped over Thanksgiving weekend. They had 5 days to get the number one movie, their new movie, Wish. And it was projected to take in between 45 and 65 million during that long weekend. And it instead grossed 19.7 over the weekend, 31.7 over the 5-day weekend. So they're in the hole. They keep losing. And to that I say good. This is just what they do now. They inject woke stuff into their movies, and then they go, "Why isn't anybody coming to see this?" It's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty self-explanatory. Did you see that the Microsoft AI generator was doing you were able to do like the Pixar animation Disney posters?
Oh, okay.
And Microsoft had to change it.
Why?
People were doing racist ones and funny ones. One of them was Lolita Express, which is the Epstein plane, and it was a Pixar version of Bill Clinton with a bunch of 6-year-olds around him.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what they expect.
I don't know what they expect either, but we can't. This is why we can't have nice things. Did you hear that? I don't know why anybody would want to take their kids to Disneyland. I avoid that at all costs. I will die before I do that. Just full disclosure. I've told my kids, can we go to Disney World? Like, absolutely not. I will die first.
Universal?
No. I'm not doing any of that stuff. No.
We can go to Dollywood.
No, I'll probably go to like what's that one park down near Chattanooga where the kid fell out of the water slide? I'd probably go there first. Anyway, at Disneyland, they got the guy with the mustache and the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. And then did you hear about the naked guy on tripping out on the It's a Small World ride?
What?
Yeah,
naked dude.
They're like, it's a small world after all.
Yeah,
you know that one?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, it's somebody's riding through and it's like, oh, there's a naked man over there. And they arrested a 26-year-old guy on suspicion of indecent exposure and being under the influence of controlled substance. Suspicion. Listen, he's off the ride, walking around in areas where he shouldn't, naked, and let's arrest him on suspicion.
Full Johnson exposed. We suspect.
All indications lead us to the conclusion. Trash theme park. But and then the writers at Disney. So then, all right. So Disney's losing money. They're losing money left and right. Bob Iger, who pulls his ads from X, but he doesn't pull his ads from Instagram or any of the other woke, social media platforms. He's promising now that he will stop with the propaganda in his movies. And he said he's going to entertain first, not messages. That he said positive messages for the world are great, but shouldn't be forced on the public or used as the story's primary focus. But he's lying. But at the end of the day, maybe we'll see less of it. I don't know. Writers, Hollywood writers, are worried that this backlash, and the lack of sales in these movies, the writers and actors in Hollywood are now worried that these cutbacks are going to mean less focus on minority representation. So, I don't know. Just like stop the woke stuff. Here's the thing: it's like you look at like Spider-Man with Miles Morales, who's the black Spider-Man in the alternate universe. It's like a good story, unique. People are cool with it. Like kids like it. Nobody's boycotting it.
No.
And that's not even like as original of a story. There's other superheroes. Like, do you remember when we were kids, Static Shock?
Static Shock, yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes, yes.
Dude, brand new superhero, black superhero.
Yeah.
They didn't need to make Superman black.
No.
One of the best ones.
Static Shock was awesome.
Static Shock was dope.
Yeah.
Static Shock was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Static Shock
just create good products and people will be fine with it no matter what color the characters are. But they don't understand this. They think that the only way you will go see a movie is if, I got an idea. Let's make Batman Vietnamese. That's okay. Is that what you're gonna do now? I guess. Hey, how about this? Let's make Wonder Woman non-binary. All right. I don't know what that's gonna do, except hurt ticket sales. Just create a compelling character and move on. Hollywood writers, we're so worried. We're worried about minority representation. Write a good story. It's literally that's it. Just write a good story, and the sales will follow. That's it. It's pretty simple, right? I think it's pretty simple. 1021, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at USS United Structural Systems. Now, I guess you could still say I'm new to WTN, but I've heard the USS commercials on Super Talk for years. I had a chance to meet the guys at United Structural Systems, and they do the things that they say they do. They're honest, good, hardworking people. They're proud of the work they do, but they do say the work they do, you don't know you need it until you know you need it. With the rain today, it's a perfect time to poke your head in your crawl space. See if you can see any standing water, any moisture. Take a walk around your basement. Do you see any wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floors? That could be your house trying to tell you something. And if your house is trying to tell you something, you should give USS a call to take a look. They will come up with a custom plan for your home. Now, if that includes, total crawl space encapsulation, if it includes basement wall realignment, basement and crawl space waterproofing, these are the guys for the job. and they have 25,000 satisfied customers in Middle Tennessee that will say the exact same thing. And they've been doing it since 1994. They're not some overnight success. They've been doing it for decades in Middle Tennessee. So if you're having any of these issues and you need them resolved, there's only one place to call, USS, 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855 or online, USSTN.com.
Right now in our nation's capital. Mr. Santos? Mr. Santos? It's just the sixth time in U.S. history and the first time for a Republican. And here in Middle Tennessee, police are warning homeowners, especially in the affluent areas, about a criminal ring from South America going around stealing your stuff. These stories and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
A criminal ring from South America? I thought our borders were secure. What? Ah! All right, it's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Anything you want to talk about, we can talk about it. It's an agenda-free Friday, 615-737-9986. That's 615-737-9986. Billy in Nashville's up next. You have a comment on Liz Cheney. What's up, Billy?
Well, Liz Cheney, since she has lost her seat, has been on a tear, and now she's come out with a book that she said that there are more congressmen in the United States Congress that are really anti-Trumpers but will not say anything about it. One of them in particular that I know you could probably get confirmed is she said that whenever Congressman Green from here in Tennessee had to do something he really didn't want to do for Trump, he always said, have we got to, do anything for, got to do this for Orange Jesus. That was his nickname in D.C. from the politicians that really didn't like him. And I was wondering if you could get Congressman Green to confirm that.
Well, I doubt he would confirm it if it was true. I also, I've come to find that Liz Cheney isn't the most honest woman herself. Also,
he didn't confirm it, or if he did, or whatever, the people of Tennessee need to know. And also, maybe he could cause some backlash on Liz Cheney and her new book because of it.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, you're also just giving Liz Cheney, publicity for her book. I still don't think anybody would read it, even with the publicity. But I didn't even know she had a book coming out. So I don't know. I don't really want to talk about her book because then people know about it.
Okay. Well,
I appreciate the comment, Billy, and I get where you're at, and you're like, what does Mark Green really think? 8212 says Orange Jesus, hilarious. I also find that hilarious. I have no idea if it's true, but we're taking your calls at 615-737-9986. I see a couple people on the line. We're going to get to you guys after Ken Weaver's newscast. Before Ken Weaver's newscast, I did want to play this clip. Tucker Carlson was on with Roseanne. And speaking of old Orange Jesus, he was talking about when he became a Trump supporter. And this is on Roseanne's podcast, Tucker Carlson, which both of these guys, Tucker Carlson and Roseanne, are going to be at America Fest here in Phoenix in the coming weeks, December 16th to 19th, which I will be broadcasting live from. But they sat down. Tucker talks about when he decided to become a full-fledged Trump supporter.
I mean, I've always agreed with Trump's policies, always. And I lost friends over it. And I've never really actively supported anybody because it's not my job to actively support people. I watch, I like to watch. But I'm a voyeur.
Yeah.
But I became an active Trump supporter when they raided Mar-a-Lago last summer, the summer of 2022. That can't stand.
No, that can't.
And
that was something.
Agree with Trump on a lot. But even if I disagreed with Trump on a lot, I'd still be a Trump supporter because you cannot allow that. You cannot allow the regime, the president of the United States, to use the Justice Department to knock the front runner out of the race. You can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
So it's bigger than Trump. It's bigger than Biden. It's a question of, do you want to live in a free country with a functioning justice system?
That's exactly.
And so I'm voting for Trump. And if they convict him, I will send him the max donations and I will lead protests. That's how I feel.
That's how I feel.
Because, and by the way, if I thought that he had committed some real crime, I wouldn't feel that way, but he didn't. He and Biden are both found with classified documents at home, along with every other former high-level federal official in history. But only Trump is indicted? Tell me how that works. Oh, shut up.
And Biden is the one who did it illegally because he was never president when he did it.
Do you think Dick Cheney brought home any classified Iraq War documents and showed them to his wife in 2003? Yes is the answer.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in our nation's capital, Speaker Mike Johnson announcing the vote to expel New York Congressman George Santos.
On this vote, the yeas are 311, the nays are 114, with 2 recorded as present.
He needed 140 votes to survive. Santos becomes the 6th member in history and the first Republican House member to be voted out of office. Former U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor has died. The court announcing her death in a statement this morning, citing, quote, complications related to advanced dementia, probably Alzheimer's, and a respiratory illness. She was 93. And right now in Middle Tennessee, authorities say a criminal South American group is burglarizing homes in Brentwood again. Channel 4 says Brentwood police say this group started operating in 2022, targeting areas with large homes, and they returned last week. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. Have you ever thought about why we invest in the stock market? Well, you often hear because we want to protect ourselves from inflation. Well, what is inflation? It's prices going up. Who's raising prices? Companies. What do you own when you own stocks? You own the companies raising prices, so it helps protect us from that. The other thing is this. Think about the most successful people you know. They're typically business owners, and you get to be a business owner when you invest in the stock market. Now, if we think about the stock market, a lot of people worry about, well, what if the stock market drops and it never comes back? Well, this is another thing that I like to explain to people. If the stock market goes down and it never comes back, what does that mean? That means that earnings went down and they never came back up again. So earnings went down. If earnings go down, what else goes down? Taxes go down. If taxes go away, what else goes away? The government goes away. If the government goes away, the FDIC goes away. So think about it. Everything is built on the stock market. That's why I don't ever worry about the stock market going down. Everybody has the same goal in mind when stocks go down. Get it to come back up, because we got to get earnings to come back up. Now, you have two things at your control to get earnings to come back up. One is sales. We can change what we're selling or sell more of whatever we have if we can. And if we can't do that, we can reduce our expenses. And that's exactly what companies do. You'll notice that they lay off people when things get bad, and hence that is why the stock market has recovered from every downturn throughout all of history. Now, if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or call 615-851-1950.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 1035. My name is Chris Hand. We're doing, once again, an agenda-free Friday. So that means anything you want to talk about, we can talk about. We had a call earlier from Guy in Franklin. That was his name, right? Guy? Not a guy.
That was it? Yeah,
It was Guy.
Guy.
And he was talking about his father was a firefighter in Nashville. And he says that they only have 3 guys on a truck. It led to his father being injured. And he wanted to kind of bring some awareness to that. And it has brought awareness to that, Guy, if you're still listening, because we got another caller now, Jim in the borough, who wants to talk about the firefighter issue. Apparently this is an issue. So I'm glad that it was raised, and that's why we have Agenda Free Friday. Hey, Jim, you're on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Hey, Chris. I appreciate what you guys are doing. So there's an OSHA standard related to this topic. I caught the tail end of the conversation, but it sounds like it was undermanning with 3 people on the truck.
Yep.
So the OSHA standard is 1910.134, and it's called a 2 in, 2 out. And the basic part of it is it means two people have to be on the truck while the other 2 go in. You can have more people going in the building, but there's a minimum of 2 people manning the truck, and they have to be geared up with PPE and trained and everything, and ready to go in and do a rescue if a firefighter is down. And the other part of this is they're allowed to file anonymous complaints, related to the topic without discrimination. So just a heads up for that.
Hey, man, I appreciate the call, and thank you for adding to the conversation, Jim. Really appreciate you, man. Anything else you want to talk about? 615-737-9986. I did play some of that Tucker Carlson audio. A couple people said that they caught the tail end of it. They missed it. He was asked about when he decided to become a Trump supporter, or has he always been a Trump supporter? He was on the podcast with Roseanne. This is what he talked about when he decided to become a Trump supporter.
What do you think?
I certainly support Trump, I'll tell you that. And I can tell you, I've always agreed with Trump's policies, always. And I lost friends over it. And I've never really actively supported anybody because it's not my job to actively support people. I watch, I like to watch. But I'm a voyeur.
Yeah.
But I became an active Trump supporter when they raided Mar-a-Lago last summer, the summer of 2022. That can't stand.
No, that can't.
And
that was something.
Agree with Trump on a lot. But even if I disagreed with Trump on a lot, I'd still be a Trump supporter because you cannot allow that. You cannot allow the regime, the president of the United States, to use the Justice Department to knock the front runner out of the race. You can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
So it's bigger than Trump. It's bigger than Biden. It's a question of, do you want to live in a free country with a functioning justice system?
That's exactly
And
right.
so I'm voting for Trump. And if they convict him, I will send him the max donations and I will lead protests. That's how I feel.
That's how I feel.
Because, and by the way, if I thought that he had committed some real crime, I wouldn't feel that way, but he didn't. He and Biden are both found with classified documents at home, along with every other former high-level federal official in history. But only Trump is indicted? Tell me how that works. Oh, shut up.
Oh, weird. Yep. Weird. I did like the fact that he said, if Trump goes to prison, I will send him the max donations and I will lead protests. Is Tucker going to be the VP for Trump? Can we just... Ooh, I wish. Please.
You think there's a real chance of that happening?
I think there's a real chance of that happening.
10%? More? Maybe not much, but a little bit? Or is it 5%?
6 to 8%.
Okay.
6 to 8%.
6 to 8%. That's not nothing.
It's not nothing. My head goes to there's going to be a battle for younger voters. Who is going to bring in a young crowd? And I go to Tucker. I go to Vivek. I hear a lot of the names tossed around. Kristi Noem, Tulsi Gabbard, Carrie Lake. I think they're all great. And maybe not Tulsi Gabbard. Anyway, I think they're all okay. So they're, but I don't see them pulling in those young numbers.
Yeah.
Who else is going to bring youth into the Republican Party?
Yeah, I think Vivek is definitely one of those names. That and Tucker are the only two viable as far as bringing the youth in that you mentioned.
And I think that's going to be a big deal. And you're seeing the Biden administration losing a whole group of youths, as they say. But it's an agenda-free Friday. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. 615-737-9986. Rudy wants to talk about that naked guy they found at Disney. What's up, Rudy?
I think I have a pretty good explanation as to why he was walking around naked, and it's a small world after all. He was trying to prove to all the visitors that it really wasn't a small world after all.
Thank you, Rudy.
Did it crash and burn?
It wasn't that bad. It crashed, but it's still we can salvage the wreckage, my friend. I appreciate you calling in, Rudy. Thanks, man. There was more on that Tucker Roseanne podcast as well. It was pretty cool. At one point, Tucker Carlson was talking. He brought up the Kennedy assassination, the JFK assassination, and I thought that this was interesting. He talked about not questioning the JFK assassination until he was in his 40s. Said he was 40-something years old when he first questioned the JFK assassination. Which I was like, bro, I was like 12 Like, that don't add up. my first conspiracy theory was the moon landing. I'm like, I don't know how Nixon made a phone call, but anyway, here's I'm just saying, I don't know. Like, we still can't get service in the Smokies in some places.
Chris, you were that kid in math class though, where the teacher's going 1 + 1, and you're going, really though? Is it 2?
I did not subscribe to the 1 + 1 = 3, Mac. It's super woke. I did, however, go, I think all your history's fake, and I don't believe in dinosaurs. But this is Tucker talking about when he started to question the JFK assassination.
Early in my late 40s, the baby boomers talk about the Kennedy assassination, and I'm just like, come on. We had a Warren Commission. There was this guy called Lee Harvey Oswald, a Marine. He defected to the Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. It's obvious. Like, he hated Kennedy because he was a Cold Warrior. It all made sense to me. I was literally in my late 40s before I was like, wait a second. The lone gunman kills the lone gunman?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On TV.
Like, wait, what are the odds of that anyway? 2 lone gunmen, really? And anyway, so then it culminated last year when I spoke to someone at the age of 53 who had seen the classified files that were not being released. And I spoke to someone directly. Yes, they implicate the CIA.
Wow.
Yeah, they had absolute knowledge of this and participated in it. Nobody oversees the CIA. Its budget is not publicly disclosed.
Right.
CIA owns companies and it kills people. The baby boomers talk.
I feel like Tucker should have said at some point in that clip, I'm not suicidal. Because he basically says, I talked to somebody who saw the classified files. The CIA was involved. Wild. Mario in the Borough. You want to talk about Donald Trump? Mario, you're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, man?
Okay, how are you? Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask somebody that has a radio or a chance to ever ask Trump to please get rid of that law that Obama made it possible. Well, not a law. He passed it just like that, where the 3-letter agencies can run Operation PSYOP on the American people on American soil.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. They do need to get rid of that. I think it was Obama that did that.
Yes, you want him?
Yeah, where they made it legal to use propaganda on American citizens.
And that's why we're seeing so much of the craziness right now.
Yeah, well, hey, a lot of the news hysteria ramped up in after that happened.
Yep.
Hey, great point, Mario. I appreciate you. Thanks, man. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, of course. You know, one of the other things that Tucker was talking about with Roseanne, which kind of ties into what our boy was just talking about. You know, the use of propaganda on American citizens. They talked about one guy who's a journalist who isn't treated very fairly. I'm talking about Julian Assange, which we also talked about yesterday when we talked about Seth Rich, the DNC staffer who was murdered, and they said it was a botched robbery. We brought Seth Rich up because a FOIA request is forcing the FBI to hand over his laptop, and that led us down the rabbit hole of Julian Assange because it is believed by many that Seth Rich was the leaker of the Hillary Clinton emails, and he was a Bernie bro. He didn't like that the DNC colluded against Bernie Sanders to get Hillary Clinton the nomination in 2016, and the word was that he got a trove of emails. He sent them over to Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, and that got him murdered. That's just that's what it looks like to a lot of people. What's what it looks like to me. I think we need more justice for Seth Rich. But the topic of Julian Assange came up with Tucker Carlson while he was talking about Roseanne, and I always think it's good to shine light on this because I don't think Julian Assange gets enough credit for what he created in WikiLeaks, the journalist that he is, and what he's endured after exposing the things he's exposed. So this is Tucker talking to Roseanne about Julian Assange.
I saw Julian Assange in London.
I wanted to ask you
wouldn't
about
put people in prison except for a very good reason. And they
talk about the truth. Talk about the truth being illegal. Look at he's paid for it with dozens of people.
Well, Assange has never been accused of lying or of fraud or of making money in some criminal scheme.
In fact, none of the WikiLeaks stories that they've ever published have been proven to be false. Full disclosure. None of them.
Assange has been accused of telling the truth, period.
Yeah.
And they are torturing him to death in front of all of us. No one's doing anything about it. And that Mike Pompeo is a very, very sinister person.
Isn't he?
Listen to this. This is a wild thing that Tucker exposes with, of all people, Roseanne, about Mike Pompeo.
The worst. And I always thought that, and I've told Trump that. Never should have allowed him to run CIA or state. But Mike Pompeo tried to have him murdered. And that's a criminal act. He was not even charged with a crime in the United States. And Mike Pompeo was CIA director. This came out. Pompeo didn't deny it.
I never heard this.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
I saw it.
Oh, my God.
He tried to have Julian Assange murdered, poisoned in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. And that's a fact, okay? Wow. And it's been established and, okay?
Yes.
Why is Mike Pompeo not in prison?
Why is Mike Pompeo not in prison? Tucker took aim at the CIA a lot over that interview. And a couple things, when we talk about Tucker for VP, he says that, he spoke to somebody who saw the classified JFK files. Well, who could that have been? I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody. I'm just spitballing here. And then he says, the CIA, they have a budget that nobody's in charge of. The CIA, I saw the files on JFK. The CIA was involved. And then he pivots over to Julian Assange, and he says, former CIA director Mike Pompeo, who is an awful person. I told Trump he was an awful person, should have never been in charge of the CIA, tried to have Julian Assange murdered. I mean, he's taking a lot of shots at the CIA, and he's invoking Trump on a lot of different things. Man, please let him be the VP. Please, please, please. 6436 texted and he says, does Chris believe in the flat earth as well? We'll leave that for another day. No, I'm not a flat earther.
Matt says, 4152, I don't think Tucker will be vice president for the fact that he would lose what he does best, and that's radio interviews, etc. That's what he does, and he would lose that ability to be able to do that. Yeah, basically saying, we'd lose what he does best.
Would he really lose it, though? I mean, think about how many shows Obama was on when he was president. And we know, Nancy Pelosi
getting interviewed, getting asked questions.
But Nancy Pelosi told us that the vice president doesn't do anything.
I don't know.
Do you remember that? Everybody was like, oh, Kamala's job approval is really low. And Nancy said, well, that's the job. She doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the vice president does. So I think he would have time for those things if we're going off of what Nancy Pelosi says. I'm just saying. Sally texted in. She says, damn, I'm going to miss Tucker. So funny. Listen, what do we got? What do we got? Candace Owens would be a great pick if she were interested for VP. That's what Mike texted in. I see the Candace Owens stuff. I get where people are at, but I just don't think it's that realistic. But it's also at the same time, for the same reasons, I don't think it would be like Candace doesn't have any experience in government. I think Candace is smart as all get out. I think she's amazing. And it's kind of weird because I feel like Tucker would be a great VP choice. And then on the flip side, I'm like, I don't know if Candace has enough experience. I guess all of my critiques that I would have for Candace, I could probably say about Tucker as well. You know what I mean? I feel like they would be pretty similar. I don't know. Maybe Candace would be a great pick. Mike says she's a young black female conservative, not afraid to stand up and fight for her values, would be the perfect VP candidate. Know anyone else who fits that bill? I don't. I'm sure she would jump at it. But I personally think Tucker would be the better choice. Oh, and we got another McMurray for VP. Thanks, Todd.
There we go, Todd. Thank you.
You're getting the recognition you finally deserve. Oh, and then 2428 said, Chris Hand isn't a flat earther, and he had a crying face. Sorry. Anthony says, actually, Carrie Lake fits that too. I love Carrie Lake. Listen, I know Carrie's daughter. We work together, and she has a great family. I think Carrie Lake is an awesome person. Here's my thing. I think she's too polarizing. I think Carrie Lake is too polarizing, and not for the Democrats. I feel like the Democrats will hate everyone, right? But for the Never Trumper crowd, Carrie Lake is too much of a against the Never Trumper crowd. And I think that a guy like Tucker, none of the Never Trumpers would be able to come out against him. They would lose all support. but all the Never Trumpers could come out against Kari Lake. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. It's an agenda-free Friday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. More of what you want to talk about next at 615-737-9986 on Super Talk.
Got a crash on 65 southbound right past Harding Place in Creve Hall. And then in Williamson County, there is a crash that's blocking parts of 840 westbound right there at Arno Road. In our nation's capital, it has happened for just the 6th time in U.S. history. Also, a former U.S. Supreme Court justice has passed away. And police in Middle Tennessee are busy after a welfare check in one county and a criminal South American gang gets started again in another county. These stories and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 10:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, real quick, I just want to let everybody know, we all see Heidi Campbell smashing the school choice stuff on the internet, talking about, radical dark money groups lobbying to end public education. Oh, well, I've invited her on my show to discuss this. I sent her a nice DM privately. I said, listen, I'll give you all the time you want. Like, I'm not going to try and argue with you. I just want to talk. Like, literally, just let's have a conversation. No response. So then I called her out publicly, and I tweeted it publicly. Said, come on the show whenever you want. Seriously. No response from Heidi Campbell. She's shook. She's absolutely shook. And do you know why I think she's shook? It's because Heidi went to a private school. And Heidi Campbell's kids go to private school.
But I know something about you. You went to Cranbrook. That's a private school.
11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Here's Ken Weaver with the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now in our nation's capital, New York Congressman George Santos has been expelled. He needed 140 votes to survive.
On this vote, the yeas are 311, the nays are 114, with 2 recorded as present.
That is Speaker Mike Johnson. Santos becomes the 6th member in U.S. history and the first Republican House member to be voted out of office. Former U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor has died. The court announcing her death in a statement this morning, citing, quote, complications related to advanced dementia, probably Alzheimer's, and a respiratory illness. She was 93.
Beyond breaking the glass ceiling as the first female member of the nation's highest court, Sandra Day O'Connor was a rare example of a justice who came up through electoral politics rather than the federal judiciary. She was a leader of the Arizona legislature and then a state appeals court judge when Ronald Reagan nominated her in 1981. As a justice, O'Connor was a reliable swing vote who sided with liberals on abortion and gay rights and with conservatives against affirmative action. She wrote in 2003 that it was the court's hope that after a quarter century, racial preferences would no longer be necessary.
That is Stephen Portnoy reporting. And right now in Middle Tennessee, News 2 reports sheriff's deputies found a man dead and a woman injured in what is described as a, quote, disturbing scene in Wilson County. Deputies conducting a welfare check say they went to a home on Poplar Hill Road. They had to force their way in after there was no answer to repeated attempts to contact someone inside. Once they got in, they say they found a man dead and a woman injured. The woman was flown to Vanderbilt. Channel 4 says Brentwood police are warning homeowners in affluent neighborhoods to keep the lights and cameras on. Police say a criminal South American group that started operating back in June of 22 in Middle Tennessee is back and burglarizing homes in Brentwood starting last week. Most of the break-ins happening between 5 and 9 when homeowners are out to dinner or running errands after work. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN 1105. My name is Chris Hand. We're doing an agenda-free Friday, meaning anything you want to talk about, we can talk about it. The news cycle, oh my gosh, it's insane. There's always so much going on, and it rotates so fast that there's the inevitability that we will miss something. There's the inevitability that there's going to be something that's a major story to you that we may not have caught, we may not have covered, or maybe you didn't hear us cover. I mean, I don't expect you to listen to 15 hours of the show that starts at 9 every week. But you know what I mean? So if there's something that you want to talk to with us about that you haven't heard on the station, or there's something that you think deserves more attention than it's gotten, this is the day of the week on the Chris Hand Show for you. It's an agenda-free Friday. And you can listen to the show wherever you go, iHeartRadio, tune in, download the apps in your app store, and we would love to have you on the show. We'd love to talk to you about anything. One of the things that I did want to talk to you about today, as we get the phone calls start to roll in, was the Matt Taibbi and Michael Shellenberger talking about the most shocking things, testifying about the most shocking things that they found in the Twitter files. So they're testifying yesterday in D.C. About the overarching government interference in Twitter, in social media, and they're asked, what is the most shocking things you found? Matt Taibbi was up first, and this was the most shocking things that he found in the Twitter files and the CTIL files, which we talked about yesterday.
I think the most alarming thing that we saw was the regular organized stream of communication between the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and the largest tech companies in the country. They had an organized system for flagging content, not occasionally, but in enormous numbers, involving spreadsheets of accounts that ran to the hundreds and thousands. And this was shocking to us, and to the congressman's point, this isn't crazy conspiracy theory. We've already had 4 federal judges rule that they believe this activity violates the First Amendment.
Not a crazy conspiracy theory, you guys. 4 federal judges have ruled that this violates the amendment. What about Shellenberger? What's the most shocking thing that he saw revealed in the Twitter files and the CTIL files?
For me, it was seeing the so-called former FBI officials within Twitter and working with a variety and other groups, including this Aspen Institute, participating in an effort to so-called pre-bunk the Hunter Biden laptop before it was ever published in the New York Post, and then to get it censored by Twitter in violation of Twitter's own terms of service, whose internal staff had concluded that the New York Post tweet had not violated their terms of service, and they censored it anyway. It's interesting right there. He says that the FBI, this third-party organization, the media outlets all got together to pre-bunk the Hunter Biden laptop story. The same story that would have swayed the election in favor of Donald Trump had they let it see the light of day, but they didn't. They pre-bunked it. They got their ducks in a row before it broke. Weird. Sure. It was the former general counsel of the FBI, Jim Baker, and the former deputy director of the FBI had both taken jobs at Twitter. There were so many FBI people at Twitter that they had their own internal group and their own little crib sheet to describe the difference between the terms that they use at the FBI versus at Twitter.
CIA had it as well.
Yeah, CIA as well had their own little internal group.
The CIA, FBI, all in the mix at Twitter. Weird.
And I'm sorry, what was the second question?
The third-party proxies.
Oh, yeah. Well, then the Aspen Institute, this was the weirdest thing. We discovered that Aspen Institute had created a workshop that it was attended by basically all of the major media, including as well as all the major social media platforms, to basically pre-bunk in advance the Hunter Biden laptop, even though it had not been, there was no evidence that it existed outside of the fact that the FBI knew that they had it because they got it in December 2019. So to have the Aspen Institute trying to persuade people not to cover the Hunter Biden laptop story in August and September of 2020 was quite chilling and disturbing to see.
Pretty disturbing indeed that they're trying to pre-bunk a story that only they knew about. Isn't that weird? Sure is. You know who it really upset was Democrat Rep Dan Goldman. Dan Goldman got all in a tizzy with Michael Schellenberger yesterday at these hearings. This is what that sounded like.
You've talked about the Hunter Biden laptop and how the FBI knew it existed. You are aware, of course, that the laptop, so to speak, that was published in the New York Post was actually a hard drive that the New York Post admitted here was not authenticated as real. It was not the laptop the FBI had. You're aware of that, right?
It was the same contents.
How do you know?
Because it's the same. I mean,
you would have to authenticate it to know it was the same contents. You have no idea. You know hard drives can be manipulated.
Are you suggesting the New York Post participated in a conspiracy to construct the contents of the Hunter Biden laptop?
No, sir. The problem is that hard drives can be manipulated by Rudy Giuliani or Russia.
Okay. Hard drives can be manipulated by Rudy Giuliani and Russia. Russia.
The evidence that happened.
Well, there is actual evidence of it, but the point is it's not the same thing.
There's no evidence, so you're engaging in a conspiracy.
I'm glad you agree with me, Mr. Schellenberger, that transparency is the most important thing. And my last question for you is, do you think it would be transparent if Hunter Biden came to this Congress and testified in a public hearing, and more transparent than if he testified privately?
What is Dan Goldman talking about? He's in such a tizzy.
Literally, I've never thought about that. I have no idea.
You don't know?
Literally never thought about
is
that.
Public testimony more transparent than private testimony?
Are you familiar with the First Amendment?
Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Congress shall take no action to abridge freedom of speech. Yeah. And that's what you just described.
I think Michael Schellenberger's a beast. And Dan Goldman, totally taking the mask off. He is unhinged. And just a loon, an absolute loon. But it's an agenda-free Friday. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Louie in Millersville. Louie, you're next on Super Talk. What do you want to talk about, man?
Well, I am 67 years old, Chris, and in the first grade, they taught us something simple. You ride your bike with the traffic, kids, and you walk against the traffic. And I am so surprised nowadays generation with earbuds and headphones on, him looking on their phone or walking with the traffic with their back to someone. And most of the people in the car, not most, but some, are texting and looking at their phone also. So to veer off the road and hit you in the back and you don't even see they're coming, maybe I could save a life and say, hey, get your butt on the other side of the road and see the traffic coming at you like you're supposed to.
Yeah. Hey, I get where you're at. I think in general, the phones have degraded situational awareness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you.
But I thought about that, in the first grade. I learned something that was that simple, and they don't teach our kids anything like that in school anymore. Simple things that are actually common sense thoughts. I guess they're too busy testing them for everything.
Yeah,
it was when you said it was free for all and topic free. I thought I just want to throw that out there.
Hey man, I appreciate the call. Yeah, they're too busy in school nowadays. There's 1,000 genders and critical race theory to focus on. Let's go to Corey in the borough. You want to talk about a YouTube recruitment video? Which one are you talking about, Corey?
Well, good day, sir. First of all, it's not a recruiting video. It's a gentleman named Angry Cop, and he was reacting to the apology that the Army, specifically just the Department of the Army, sent out to active or former active members of the military who did not get their vaccination in time or by the date that they were told. So we're talking about 8,000, a little over 8,000 active Army that were let go, and they sent out apology letters. And at the end of the apology letter, it asked them to re-up because their numbers are so short, or they're realizing their recruiting numbers are not hitting their markers, and so they're trying to get recruits or people back in the military. And there's no extra bonuses or anything like that. It's just saying we're very sorry or kind of sorry, because they don't even give their names. It says former service member, and it says, will you rejoin? Of the 8,000 letters that went out, only 48, I think he said, were interested, quote unquote, and only 19 re-upped.
Wow. Well, first of all, I'd like to say good for them. Second of all, it's what a shame on the military. You're going to force this vaccine on people. You know it doesn't work. We're seeing documents that they knew it wouldn't prevent you from getting it. They knew it wouldn't prevent the spread. They forced it and mandated it anyway. They cost people their jobs. Even worse than that, there were people who had families that were forced to take this experimental vaccine, or they lose their job, they lose their livelihood, and they were coerced. They were coerced, and it's unconscionable what they did. It honestly infuriates me to no end. I try not to get angry on my show. I don't like getting angry, but thinking about what they did to the men and women in the military over this stupid vaccine that everybody knew there was not enough data on it. Everybody knew that there was not enough testing on it. To cost them their jobs, guys that go out there and put their lives on the line for us, that leave their families for months on end and go overseas into war zones, and they fired them over a jab.
Correct.
It blows my mind.
It's crazy because I will say he also elaborates more in the video that I think it's called a 15-6. I wasn't a vet of any kind. That's the only regret in my life is that I think he called it a 15-6, and it's something that you investigate only officers about being leaders, basically, and it's something that can end their career. Just the inquiry, it could end a career. So what he tells you at the video is that he did a Freedom of Information request from the Department of Army on behalf of a different vet, and he says that they're ignoring these FOIA requests as well, and so this is going to be more proof, more receipts for the future, and on everything going on with the Department of Army or in the government, DOJ, I should say. DOJ is what he says at the very beginning. I apologize, I said Army, because he does distinguish active, reserve, and National Guard. So we're just talking about active. The 8,000 is just active Army. So there's times that by however many. You're talking about Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force. Even they lost people in Space Force. Believe it or not,
Yeah, it's crazy. And there is going to be a blowback on this. And I say good. The Justice Department. What was it? Probably 2.5 weeks ago now, there was an article in the New York Post. The Justice Department posted a new jobs ad. They were looking for 8 new attorneys to defend the federal government in vaccine injury cases. Oh
wow! Did not see that.
Yeah, it's insane, and they're anticipating a surge of COVID vaccine lawsuits. They know this is coming because of these government mandates, because they force people to take the jab. They knew it wouldn't stop you from getting it. Yeah. They knew it wouldn't stop the spread. They knew that the only thing it would do would cause a risk for side effects. Seriously.
I agree. So I was going to say, what would you think as a platform for a candidate for president to go just for obviously everybody says I'm for the vets as a, repeating theme, but specifically getting to the bottom of the COVID vaccinations when it comes to the Department of Justice. I think that would be a pretty good stance to if somebody like Ron DeSantis changed his script, being a vet who went to Yale, served in in Afghanistan, whatever. I think that's something he could use to help his cause. We'll get to the bottom of this. Whether he does or not, it's to be seen.
I think a guy like Ron DeSantis. I think every politician, and this is Trump too. They all need to have a reckoning. Ron DeSantis pushed the vaccine just as much as any other government official.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of revisionist history on Florida, but Ron DeSantis shut the whole state down, and they all did. Lee did it in Tennessee. There definitely is something there. The other thing, though, is that there are people that took it that are going to be, not wanting to have this conversation.
For sure.
It's going to be an uncomfortable conversation, and there are people that shunned their own family members because they didn't get it. So people are too invested in the lie. There's no real value in wanting to get the truth out of this when you realize, wow, I kicked my son out of Thanksgiving for 2 years because he wouldn't get the vaccine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're too far. They're too far to turn back. I don't know if it would be effective as your main platform in a presidential election because Republicans are just as guilty as Democrats in a lot of cases.
I got you. And I will say you should definitely check out his channel. It's called Angry Cop. And the other one, in regards to the Biden stuff you were talking about earlier, check out a channel called Forgotten History. It's ran by a former Marine sniper historian, and he has a great documentary series coming out on YouTube about the Bidens being, quote unquote, the most corrupt president of all time. And it is, the first one he just came out with is very, very wild. For one, that I don't know if you mentioned it before, but Biden's wife Jill, her ex-husband, I think his last name is Stevens, he gets charged with 2 misdemeanors and is facing 15 to 20 years. But you look at Hunter, who's getting charged with 2 felonies, who's not even seeing jail time.
Yeah.
And he goes into that. It's crazy.
All right, man. Yeah. I'll definitely check it out over the weekend. Thanks for the rec. I really appreciate it.
No problem. You have a good one.
Hey, man, you too. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. It's an agenda-free Friday. Anything you want to talk about is on the table. 615-737-9986 is the number to call. And Teresa, I see you hanging on the line. We'll get to your call next. Anything else you guys want to talk about, call me. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
calls for a China travel ban due to illness. What now after the House expelled a Republican congressman today? Police in Middle Tennessee warning homeowners in affluent areas about a criminal South American group tied to a spike in break-ins. These stories and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Hey, Mac, where did he say that travel ban was coming from?
I think he said it was in
China.
Oh, thanks.
China.
Okay, perfect. What was it again?
China.
Okay. I just wanted to check. It's weird. It seems like these things always come out of the same places, doesn't it?
I mean, yeah, man,
China.
They're involved.
Weird. Weird. I remember the last time we had an election, something came out of that same place. Where was that place again?
China.
Yeah, that's it. It's weird. It's awfully convenient, isn't it?
China.
Yeah.
What a coinkadink.
Isn't that crazy?
Weird.
Yeah. Hopefully, our great scientists can help us to deal with whatever's coming out of that country. Hopefully. Let's go to David in Nashville. He wants to talk healthcare. David, you're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, man?
Yeah, I was just listening to the discussion on the military and the COVID vaccine.
Yes, sir.
I have a healthcare company.
Okay.
And during COVID, when we didn't know what it was, we told our clinicians, you still got to go out and care for patients.
Yeah.
And then when the government came back and mandated a vaccine for the people that put themselves on the line for healthcare, all it did was create turnover in healthcare. And it wasn't right for healthcare or first responders when we didn't know what it was to go out in the field and then turn around and mandate and then wonder why we have shortages.
Yeah. And a lot of industries that tried to mandate it are having shortages. You can talk about pilots. You can talk about nurses. You can talk about the military. Yeah. Weird. Who could have seen this coming? Probably everyone.
It's unbelievable. Now we have nurses shortages everywhere.
Yeah. Who's going to do the TikTok dances during the next pandemic? Who? If we're not stocking up on our nurses, if we're falling behind, where are our TikTok dances coming from?
Exactly, and they took it. We do what we do in healthcare. We risk stratify the patient. We do what we need to take care of them, and we enjoy what we do for patients, and that was taken away.
Amen. And you know what? Like one of your first things, do no harm. And instead they mandated an experimental vaccine that the documents are showing us now they knew wouldn't stop you from getting it and wouldn't stop the spread. But you had to get it. You had to get it or you're fired. It's weird.
Exactly. So I'm telling nurses that did the hard thing, now you got to go do it even if you don't want it.
Yeah. Dude, you're absolutely right. Thanks for the call, David. I really appreciate it, man. 615-737-9986. If you want to talk about something, we can talk about it. It's an agenda-free Friday on the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver standing by with the news.
Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now in our nation's capital, 4 Republican U.S. senators calling for a China travel ban. Marco Rubio, Tommy Tuberville, Rick Scott, and J.D. Vance penned a letter to President Biden demanding he implement a travel ban between the U.S. and China due to what the senators say is an alarming spike in an unknown respiratory illness inside the communist nation. They want this until more information is gathered about the dangers posed by this illness. What's next? Now that New York Republican Congressman George Santos has been expelled from the House related to a scathing ethics investigation, concluding there's evidence federal crimes may have been committed.
Governor Kathy Hochul now has 7 to 10 days to call for a special election. It doesn't have to be within 7 to 10 days, but she does have to call for it. And there is no traditional primary, so it will be up to the parties to decide who the candidates are going to be.
Aaron Katursky reporting. And here in Middle Tennessee, police warning homeowners in affluent areas to keep the lights and cameras on due to the resurgence of a criminal South American group they say is linked to a spike in burglaries last week in Brentwood. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. Have you ever thought about why we invest in the stock market? Well, you often hear because we want to protect ourselves from inflation. Well, what is inflation? It's prices going up. Who's raising prices? Companies. What do you own when you own stocks? You own the companies raising prices, so it helps protect us from that. The other thing is this. Think about the most successful people you know. They're typically business owners. And you get to be a business owner when you invest in the stock market. Now, if we think about the stock market, a lot of people worry about, well, what if the stock market drops and it never comes back? Well, this is another thing that I like to explain to people. If the stock market goes down and it never comes back, what does that mean? That means that earnings went down and they never came back up again. So earnings went down. If earnings go down, what else goes down? Taxes go down. If taxes go away, what else goes away? The government goes away. If the government goes away, the FDIC goes away. So think about it. Everything is built on the stock market. That's why I don't ever worry about the stock market going down. Everybody has the same goal in mind when stocks go down. Get it to come back up because we got to get earnings to come back up. Now, you have two things at your control to get earnings to come back up. One is sales. We can change what we're selling or sell more of whatever we have if we can. And if we can't do that, we can reduce our expenses. And that's exactly what companies do. You'll notice that they lay off people when things get bad, and hence that is why the stock market has recovered from every downturn throughout all of history. Now, if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.
$11:34 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Got a text here from 8335. Said, I never heard anyone touting the vaccine was a cure for COVID. What? Is that, are you sure? I can recall Biden saying it. I can recall Biden saying it. I can recall Fauci saying it. I can recall the CDC saying it. I can recall many people saying it. All I heard was that it lessens the symptoms. Yeah, after it was proven that it wouldn't stop you from getting COVID. In most cases, if you should get it. I never heard that it was going to prevent you from getting it or cure you when you have it. I hear a lot of conservatives hosts touting things much as you that I've never heard during the pandemic come out of the left. I'm a conservative, and there's plenty to blame to go around on this whole deal. That's just one small point I have to take disagreement with you on, Mr. Hand. Everybody said that if you got the vaccine, you wouldn't get COVID. Joe Biden said it was a pandemic of the unvaccinated. So that's one point I have to take disagreement with you on, Mr. 8335. I just disagree. And I tried to find the audio. Full disclosure, Dan called me during the break to talk about something that we had to do after the show, and I didn't have a chance to find the audio. But it's out there, 8335, and I will be happy to find it for you. In fact, I'm sure that some people can send it on the super text line. I'm going to speed this up. If you guys got a Twitter link of this, send it to me. But 1265 says, trust the science was the message. Trust the science. It was a pandemic of the unvaccinated. 5536 said, isn't that the definition of a vaccine? Yes, 5536, it is. Yep. 4295. I remember Joe Biden saying if he got the vac, he wouldn't get COVID. I remember that as well. It was on CNN. 0597 said, that's why they tried to force the vac, because they literally said you wouldn't get it if you had the vax. You guys hit a bingo? Go ahead and hit a bingo.
Bingo.
Thank you. It's 11:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Did I say that already? I'll say it again. 11:36. Hope you're having a fantastic day. It's an agenda-free Friday. We can talk about anything you want to talk about at 615-737-9986. 4931 said, what's the best way to prepare for a hurricane, according to Biden? I remember that, too. Do you remember that?
What was that?
When a hurricane was coming, I forget where the hurricane was coming, but it was probably Florida. But they said to get prepared for the hurricane, don't forget to get your COVID-19 vaccination.
Oh, God.
You don't remember that?
No.
I remember that.
Must have blocked that out.
Yeah. Well, you weren't hurricane prepared then. It's a good thing you live in Middle Tennessee and not Florida. Let's go to Teresa in Macomb County. She wants to talk about the manifesto. Teresa, you're up next on Super Talk 99.7. What's up?
Well, when all that came out about the manifesto and protecting the kids, spearheaded by one of the parents who's anti-gun, by the way, it just got me. I have 3 grandkids going through something, and I'm glad those kids are safe. I'm glad they're protected. I know they have a lot of trauma, but what about these children that are, DCS is involved with them, and then a judge and DCS comes in and says, we need to put some services out there, and those 4 children that have been victimized by either child abuse, emotional abuse, whatever, are forced to go sit down with their victims or with the perpetrator, I'll put it that way, and sit there with them. And I've got 3 grandkids that's going through this right now from 2 different families. The anxiety, everything that sets in when those kids, they're supposed to be helping them. Where's the safety? I thought we were all supposed to try to keep children safe. Why is there a double standard with those families and those children, with children out here that have actually been victimized? And none of them, created it, of course, but the ones in the school, it's something that happened. Some of these kids go through trauma and emotional abuse and physical abuse for years before anybody stands in. And then all of a sudden a judge says, oh, you've got to go sit down with the person that was doing this to you, and y'all see if y'all can work it out. I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Also, are you for the manifesto being released, or do you not want it released?
I think some things need to be redacted.
Okay.
But no, it needs to be released, period. And even if you go back and look at the parents and stuff that's fighting it or whatever, as a parent, I know it's going to bring up some issues.
Yeah.
But I want it released because you've got to know the why before you can handle anything. That being said, we just don't know enough. And if you look at the parent that really spearheaded it, I just know he was a male. Yeah. He's anti-gun. He is using his child as a weapon. And that tragic incident for, I'll just go ahead and say it, a political agenda, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I feel you, and I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I appreciate the call, Teresa. I want the manifesto fully released. You can redact some things if you need to, to keep whatever you need safe. If it's super sensitive. But I think I agree also that the one guy spearheading it did seem like he had ulterior motives. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but as a dad, if something like that happened at my kid's school, I like to think that I would want it released as well, and I like to think that I would stand on principle. I don't know what those parents are going through, so I don't want to. I can understand that some of them may just not want to relive it. That doesn't mean that it shouldn't be released. But I do want to go back to what we were talking about earlier, where somebody said, that nobody ever said you wouldn't get the vaccine. Nobody said you wouldn't get COVID if you got the vaccine. Nobody said that. And I knew because of the crowdsourcing that we have on the Super Text line. I knew because of the high-value listeners that we have, somebody would come through, and 7712 did. This is a compilation of all of our great leaders following the science and telling you that you won't get COVID if you get the vaccine.
You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Hey, folks, guess you heard. This morning I tested positive for COVID.
And when people are vaccinated, they can feel safe that they are not going to get infected.
Dr. Fauci says he has COVID again.
If you've done the right thing and gotten vaccinated, you deserve the freedom to be safe from COVID-19. And this morning, I learned I tested positive for COVID-19 as well.
With 3 doses that you'll be prevented not just from serious illness, but from getting this virus, this Omicron variant, and therefore giving it to others.
Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews is in quarantine for 7 days after testing positive to COVID.
So I'm fully vaccinated. It gives me some comfort.
Anthony Albanese has just tested positive for coronavirus.
Having received 2 doses of AstraZeneca, it's a very effective vaccine, protection from symptomatic illness and therefore risk of transmission to others.
Yep, so. Thank you, 7712. I knew you guys would come through because that's what you guys do for me. On the Super Text line, crowdsourcing, all of the information we need. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. 6024 said, remember the "my patience is getting thin" from Joe Biden? Do you remember that? I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was the same speech where he said it was a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
My patience is getting thin.
My patience is getting thin. Okay. MAGA extremists. Scott and Franklin wants to talk about the manifesto on this agenda-free Friday on Super Talk. What's going on, Scott?
Hey, good afternoon, Chris. I just want to know that, I've heard so much about the manifesto, why it's not being released, and how come nobody talks about the sex scandal that went on there 10, 12 years ago when that girl that did what she did was going to that school? I think that's got to be something involved in there, and I think that's why the school system there is trying to hide it so much, but nobody brings it up, and I'm just wondering why nobody's ever mentioned that.
I think it's all worth looking into. At this point, I don't have information on it. So I can't come on the air and be like, what about the sex scandal? I don't have any info on it. I wish I did. If you can share any of it with me, feel free to text it in, email it. I'd love to dive headfirst into that kind of stuff. I've never met a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. And maybe that is the reason. I don't know if it is.
All righty. I'll see what I can do. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for calling, Scott. Have a good weekend yourself. Listen, there's a lot of theories. You know what I mean? One of the things that I have to make sure in this role is that I'm and I believe it or not, I have to try and be responsible. And one of those things is not jumping down headfirst on every theory. That very well could be one of the reasons. That very well could be in the manifesto. Until we see it, we don't know. We're just speculating. So I don't know. It's a theory worth looking into. But I just want to once again say thank you to our super texters for sending in that clip about the politicians and the COVID vaccine.
You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Thank you. Everybody said that about the vaccinations. Got a text here from 9487. My name is Joe, and I was in the Army Reserve, and I was forced to retire. They made me get the COVID shot, or they were going to take away my military retirement. That was so wrong, and I am still mad about it. I am mad about it for you, Joe. And thanks for the text. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I can't believe that they would kick people out over not getting a experimental vaccination. One of my friends, a good buddy of mine that I grew up with, Matt, was in the Air Force, and he didn't want to take the vaccination. He had just re-enlisted, and he brought paperwork with him to the officers that, the guys above him. I don't know what their title were. He was I think it was Major Colonel. I think was his last title. I don't know. Anyway, he brought paperwork to the guys. He said, "Look, it says here in this section that if you have previously had a infection of any of these diseases, you don't need to get the vaccination. If you can prove it, you don't need to get the vaccination. Whether that's measles or malaria or whatever the vaccines, it's already there's a rule on the books for that. And he said, I already tested positive for COVID. I have antibodies. You can test me for antibodies. I don't want the vaccination. And they said, yeah, too bad. I think that's garbage. I mean, and everybody in the military probably knows somebody like this. My buddy Matt did several tours overseas. He left his family several times. He put his life on the line several times, and nothing. It's awful the way they treat our veterans. It's awful the way they treat our active duty, and I'm frustrated by it. I really am. Our friend Joe, 9487, texted in. He had said, he was forced to retire because he wouldn't take it, and he said, I even had 30 years of service. 30 years of service, and they're willing to throw it out over an experimental jab that doesn't prevent you from getting the disease, and it doesn't prevent you from spreading it. And now they're begging for them to come back. Please, we're not hitting our recruitment numbers. Like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Please come back. We need to get our recruitment numbers up. Well, you should have treated your people better when you had them there. But this is your military on woke policies and Democrat leadership. Dakota texted in. He said the slogan from the whole dictatorship was, get the vaccine and stop the spread. Implying what? That the vaccine prevented getting COVID. Amen. It was the agenda. That was the talking points. So I don't even remember what that person's text was. 8335. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. 8335 ticks back. I never heard anyone talk that vaccines stop hurricanes. That's what they said. They never heard anybody saying the vaccine was a cure for COVID. And now they said, I never heard anyone talk that vaccines stop hurricanes. Yeah, all right. Are they trolling? Was 8335 trolling the whole time?
I think so.
Maybe they're just trolling. Listen, if that first text was a troll, that was a solid troll job. It is 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hanford, Paul Winkler, and Paul Winkler Inc. With 4 kids, you know that financial security is a huge priority for my future and my wife's future. When we think about paying for weddings down the road, fingers crossed, at least 2 of them, and maybe paying for college. Hopefully not, if anybody wants that. But when you have to have a financial plan, where do you start? Well, I'll tell you where to start. You start by heading to Paul Winkler's office. Now, because Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard than is required, I got to tell you I'm paid every time this commercial airs. That's fair. That's not why I'm a customer of Paul's. It's not why I decided to become a client. I decided to become a client because I'm impressed with Paul. I'm impressed with his team. Paul's a smart guy. He knows the financial world better than I do. And with his team, nothing is done on commission. Nothing. So you can be sure when they try to tell you a plan for you and your family, a solution that will help you reach financial freedom in the future, it's for you. There's no ulterior motives because nothing is done on commission. They are, however, big on education, and he'll make your financial goals far more realistic by explaining what to do and why. That's what they did for me. The investment education they provide is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. If you don't have a financial plan for your future, you should get one. And the team to link up with is Paul Winkler and Paul Winkler Inc. Every single office is run by a degree planner with over 20 years of experience, and you can set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call right now with one of those degreed planners at his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com, or you can pick up the phone and call 615-851-1950. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What'd you think of the debate last night, Matt?
I enjoyed it. I watched it. You know, it was good.
We were talking off air. You want to do it on air?
Sure.
About DeSantis?
Sure.
So you don't, your gist is we shouldn't be attacking Ron DeSantis.
I think Ron DeSantis did really well last night. I mean, I don't know who's we when you say we attacking DeSantis.
Well, I meant you said 100% Trumpers. Because I'm 100%.
I think if your takeaway from the debate last night is to go after DeSantis, you're doing it wrong. I think that we win on ideas, and Ron DeSantis destroyed Gavin Newsom on conservative ideas last night.
But do you think he won for like if a Democrat watches that debate, do you think that the Democrat walks away saying DeSantis won?
I'm not worried about hardcore Democrats. Hardcore Democrats aren't people of reason. I'm worried about moderates and people that don't pay attention to what we do every day.
But do you think that he won over moderates?
I think you win on the ideas and the concepts that he presented. I think you win on crime. I think you win on immigration. I think you win on all of those various things that they talked about for the last hour and a half.
I think you also win on charisma and energy and being dynamic. I don't think he was any of those things.
Okay.
Was he low energy? Did you feel like he was low energy?
I thought he did fine.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he was missing something. He doesn't.
I mean, no. Well, Chris, let's be honest. For you, Donald Trump wasn't on stage.
Well,
anybody but Donald Trump on the stage is going to fall short for you, and I understand that.
But when you're comparing just Trump out of it, if you're looking at charisma and energy, Newsom was light years ahead of him. Much smoother, much more put together.
I didn't see that he was light years ahead of him.
For energy and charisma?
No, I thought Gavin Newsom was on his heels all night, and I thought that is in part because of the debate format that he agreed to walk into. I mean, obviously, Hannity's going to frame the debate in a favorable fashion for Ron DeSantis. I thought DeSantis did fine. DeSantis is not Trump. DeSantis is not going to be the nominee for 2024. But deciding that DeSantis is the enemy is a tactical mistake by conservative Republicans, and it will come back to bite you in the ass if you continue to do it. That is my take on it.
But DeSantis was the first one to come out swinging and decide Trump is now the enemy, and I'm going after Trump.
No, DeSantis is running a political campaign. Of course he's trying to make a distinction between himself and the others. I'm happy to continue this debate on my show if you want to.
If I had time, I would. We should do it another day, though.
Oh, now you're doing the DeSantis. DeSantis left. Newsom wanted to stay.
Okay.
I'm
It's
just
Super
kidding.
Talk 99.7 WTN.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. For just the sixth time, a member of the House of Representatives has been expelled, kicked out. New York Republican facing a 23-count federal indictment.
Nearly all Democrats and close to half of the